Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching OneMindSyndicate. Today we continue talking about the gods of the Eldar as we get into Kaela Mensha Khaine. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day, and if you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And don't forget to hit the little bell notification icon just to stay updated on the channel because we might do your request. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. With that said, let's get into 40 facts on the god of war, Khaine. Kaela Mensha Khaine is the Eldari god of battle, war, and conflict in the Eldar mythology. In the Eldari pantheon, he is second only to the Phoenix King, Azurian himself in power, and was often described as the most violent and reckless of the gods, making enemies with many of the others. The Eldar myth tells how Azurian handed over the goddess of fertility, Isha, and her husband, Coronis, the god of the hunt, to Khaine, knowing that the war god would punish them for Isha's failure to follow Azurian's orders and shun the mortal race. Khaine tortured the two of them in a burning pit until Vol, the Eldari god of crafting, who was Isha and Coronis' uncle, was moved by their plight, and so struck a bargain with the war god to craft 100 enchanted swords, known as the Blades of Vol, for him in 1 year's time. In exchange, Khaine promised to release his fellow gods from his prison. The smith god worked long and hard at this task, and managed to forge all of the blades by the deadline, except for one, the last one, which laid unfinished on his anvil. In order to trick Khaine, Vol substituted the last blade with a mortal one, which he delivered to the war god, who released his two captives. The three gods then quickly departed. But Khaine was quick to discover the trickery and cried out in rage. He called the smith god a cheat and vowed revenge. He immediately set off to track Vol down and make him pay. The conflict that followed, known as the War in Heaven, polarized the gods, as Khaine's factions and Vol's factions engaged in bloody warfare for eternity. Gods exchanged sides. Great deeds of heroism and of terrible evil were performed by both factions. The war was mirrored in an internecine struggle between the Eldari and the mortal realm. Azurian himself never took a side, watching the carnage impassively, slowly coming to regret the sentencing of Isha and Coronis to Khaine's tender mercies. Vol reforged the final sword, the one that he failed to finish for Khaine, the greatest of all. He called it Anaris. Armed with this weapon, Vol strode forth into battle with Khaine. It was a long, hard-fought struggle, but even with Anaris, Vol was no match for the war god. Khaine cast down Vol, maiming the smith and bounding Vol to his own anvil. However, the consort of the great hawk who had fought for Vol, known as the Falcon, Falshu, took the sword Anaris and delivered it to Eldanesh, the greatest warrior and leader of the mortal Eldari. With Anaris in hand, Eldanesh of the Red Moon took up the fight and faced Khaine in single combat. Eldanesh fought well, but in the end, he too was defeated by Khaine, his body crushed by the god of war. As Khaine slew Eldanesh, his hand began to drip with red blood. Forever after, he would become known as Kaela Mensha Khaine, which means Khaine the Bloody-Handed in the Eldari lexicon. By this time, Azurian, the greatest of the Eldari gods, had seen enough of the slaughter and proclaimed the war in heaven over. Khaine had gained his vengeance and left the field satisfied. Khaine's martial prowess would finally meet its match during the fall of the Eldari, when the newly formed Chaos god Slaanesh assaulted Khaine as he had all the other gods. Though their battle was vicious, Slaanesh had already absorbed the power of billions of fallen Eldari souls, and ultimately struck Khaine down. But before the Prince of Chaos could absorb the Eldari god, Khorne, the Chaos god of war and murder, battled Slaanesh for the power of Khaine, claiming the Eldari deity as his property by right, since he represented the same metaphysical force. During the struggle between the Chaos gods, Khaine was driven into the material world, where his psychic core was shattered into 1,000 pieces. Each piece came to rest at the heart of an Eldari craft world, where it hibernated within the craft world's infinity circuit, but could be reanimated again to possess a metallic construct body and go to war when needed by the craft world. These constructs became known as the Avatar of Khaine. They were the living embodiment of war, filled with the spirit of the bloody-handed god. The avatars towered over the battlefield, juggernauts of death standing 3 times the height of a man and clad in molten armor of Baroque and Eldritch design. In one hand it clutched a flaming blade, inlaid with potent runes of death, while the other constantly drips blood from the clawed fist, a grim reminder of Kaine's own unquenched thirst for carnage and bloodshed. The most terrible aspect of the Avatar were its eyes, burning pits of rage which embody the very soul of destruction and fill all those who gaze upon them with an inescapable terror and despair. To see the Avatar stride across the battlefield, leaving a trail of flaming footsteps in its wake, is to look upon the face of death and feel the ancient alien anger of the Eldari made manifest. In battle, the Avatar of Khaine is usually only encountered at the head of a large host, leading scores of warrior Eldari and aspect warriors into the foe, using its size and strength to punch holes in the enemy's lines or smash their fortifications to pieces. Such is the power of the Avatar that its blade can cleave main battle tanks in two or hack apart even fortress gates, leaving only scraps of molten metal in its path. Its flaming aura is equally deadly, and those that stray too close to the Avatar feel the heat rolling off its ancient armor, hot enough to burn flesh and set hair and cloth aflame if it passes too near. Between the plates of armor, the skin of the Avatar appears as magma, deep reds and glowing blacks which move with the ponderous motion of lava as they ebb and flow across its body. Understandably, the Avatar suffers little from fiery weapons. Their heat and destructive power washes across it like water might slide off a human skin. Those who witness it and live have seen a true god of war. The Avatar only awakens in times of need, and dwells for most of its existence as little more than a hollow shell, devoid of life or purpose in the heart of the Eldari craft world. Each craft world has its own Avatar, cold and lifeless, seeming merely a charred suit of ancient armor kept within a chamber deep beneath the wraithbone spires and domes. It is a tradition as old as the Eldari themselves that awakens the Avatar and brings vengeful life into its form so that it may march to war against the Eldari's foes. The Eldari choose a bold warrior from amongst their exarchs, a member of their race with the will and courage to embody the Eldari's own skill at arms and thirst for victory. Known as the Young King, this chosen warrior is taken to the deep chamber where the Avatar shell resides, and in a secretive and complex ritual, it is given over, mind, body, and soul to Khaine, so that its essence might fill the Avatar with life and give it the rage and power to go to war. At the completion of the ritual, the Young King is completely consumed by the Avatar and ceases to exist as he once was. His essence instead mingled with that of the bloody-handed god and funneled into the Avatar, giving it the strength and will to move and fight. Almost at once, the Avatar's armor begins to smoke and heat, while the runes of its flesh and weapon begin to glow. Finally, the Avatar's eyes burst into flame, and it rises from its tomb to answer the Eldari summon, and leads his warriors against the enemies of the craft world. Once its task is complete, the Avatar returns to the craft world, its armor cooling and the fires fading from its eyes to sleep once more. Of the Young King, there is no sign, his spirit extinguished by the ordeal, perhaps to sit at the side of Khaine himself like so many young kings before him, or perhaps lost forever in the tides of the immaterial. Another soul spent in the Eldari's slow and inevitable decline towards extinction. It is rare for humans to encounter the Avatar of Khaine, unless they go to war against the Eldari or accompany those who do. To its lament, the Imperium of Man has faced the Eldari many times during the long and bloody history of the two species, and records of the Avatar and the carnage it has created against humanity can be found by canny rogue traders amongst the accounts of the Administratum and the sacred writings of the Adeptus Ministorum. There are as many interpretations of the Avatar as there are accounts. However, those who seek to learn more are likely to find that many of those explanations conflict. Some liken the Avatar to a mechanical engine of war, while others claim it to be a demon of battle given form by an ancient Eldari warrior. What they all can more or less agree upon is the effect the Avatar has upon those Eldari which march beside it, boosting their courage and filling the normally fragile alien with a deep and violent lust for war. Through these Avatars, Khaine continues to live on as some form of entity of the warp, although maybe not a servant of chaos, but of order, shattered but he is one of the 3 Eldar gods to have survived the fall. And those were 40 facts on the Eldar god known as Khaine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. It's $1 a month. That dollar goes a long way, so thank you ahead of time, guys. If you can't support us on Patreon, simply by liking, sharing, posting down in the comment section below, it helps out the channel. I really like the community that we're building and that we have right now. I just recently found a community page on our YouTube, so it lets me post things as if I was posting on Facebook or Instagram. So it's really fun talking to you guys outside of these videos, and I get to show you pictures of my army. A lot of you guys didn't know that I'm an Imperial Guard, an Imperial Fist player. I don't really talk about them and I don't really bring them out to the tabletop, but I am. So jump on over there and check that stuff out. The Avatar of Khaine is awesome. It's an amazing model. Unfortunately, the edition that we're playing in currently makes the tabletop Avatar of Khaine pretty weak, but it's the same with the Greater Demons. It's the same with the Catan. Like anything that's big and has a lot of wounds seems to be easy to kill. Other than the Necron construct, that thing is deadly. But yeah, comment down below, guys, if you guys have suggestions for any other topics of Warhammer 40k or anything I just said, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with OneMindSyndicate signing out.
Oh, I used to put my